Hey folks, it's Johnny Flynn. Just giving you a little update about the Senate race that we're in. I talked to Robert Hyde weekly, and we're getting to be chums. He's got some personal things he's dealing with, but that's his personal business. I'm encouraging him to fight like a Flynn. So he and I have plans either way, which is great news. But the last time I spoke to Peter Lumaj, he told me he was interested in running for governor again. And I think I'll really take my hat off to the guy. Let me put something on the screen that you can watch. For example, Peter was a candidate for governor in 2018. Peter was a candidate for Secretary of State in 2014. He was a candidate for U.S. Senate in 2012. Born in communist Albania. Magna cum laude. Excellent. He's a smart character. I've seen him speak about 5 times. He does events, and he spoke. The last time I saw him, he spoke at CTRA. Excellent speech. And I'm hearing now he's going to run for U.S. Senate. So it'll be a 3-way conversation. I have limited information, knowledge about Albania, but I will tell you this. My father was chairman of the Conservative Party in New York, and he helped Congressman Diagardi get elected when he was helping candidates in Westchester County. And it was a big deal because when Congressman Diagardi got elected, an Albanian, he went to the Congress and showed them video and audio and newspaper articles of a guy. We're from Pound Ridge, New York. So in Pound Ridge, there was a reporter named Nex. He was a waiter at Donardo's restaurant that had the best eggplant parmesan in the world, made by Mike Tetro. Shout out to Mike. Everyone in Pound Ridge is tight. So what I will tell you is that Nex wrote an article showing Russians carrying Albanian kids' heads walking down the street. They were going door to door. Kind of like what Afghanistan is going through right now. There's a lot of unknowns. We have the worst 2 senators in the country, folks. They orchestrated the impeachment of Donald Trump by sending James Comey from our Connecticut Hartford FBI to screw with the Hillary email investigation, Benghazi, the Rostec deal, which is gigantic, which you need to look into. And I have a video on it. I can tell you all about it. But when you look at Mr. Lumaj, who I like, I must say that back when my father was working with Diagardi, Albania needed the U.S. The U.S. stepped in, and if it wasn't for John Flynn, things would be different. So we're doers. We're not talk about it kind of guys. We're involved with some heavy-duty lawsuits right now, folks. One is with Richard Colangelo as a defendant for taking a bribe on a murder case. I've sued him 6 times. Connecticut doesn't realize the magnitude of what Bernie Madoff did, nor the magnitude of Jim Himes, my congressman. For example, did you know Fleet Bank was merged with Fleet Bank Boston, and they laid off a third of their personnel, causing about 100 brokerage firms to fail. Did you know when Bank Boston bought Fleet, and then Bank America bought Fleet Bank Boston, which owned U.S. Clearing and Fleet Securities? It bought all types of businesses. Quick and Riley it bought. They were laying off a third of their staff every single merger. So, when we sued NASDAQ 100 times, the Stanford Superior Court stayed my Connecticut actions pending arbitration, which never occurred. So there are hundreds of thousands of felonies that occurred across Connecticut and in different states like Minnesota, Pennsylvania, where Fiserv is, Computer Shares, which is an Australian entity that routed trades through Canada. It's the largest securities fraud case in Connecticut history. I was the first whistleblower against Bernie Madoff on September 30th, 2000. Richard Colangelo has been covering up these crimes for 20 years, and there are millions of shares of stocks missing. What did these jokers do? I'll tell you. They changed the SEC laws for listing requirements on biotechnology stocks. Why? It has to do with empowering the FDA, which is controlled. Even Cuomo doesn't trust the FDA with their vaccine technology. Biden does not trust the FDA with the vaccine technologies. Folks, they both say it. They both meant it when Trump was in charge. Oh, we won't be able to trust the vaccines if Trump had his hand in it. Excuse me? Excuse me. The problem with the FDA is much bigger than you know. All lies come back to the state of Connecticut in the United States of America. All lies. So I ask you, I respect Lumaj. I like Lumaj. He's going to run for U.S. Senate, I'm told. And the Republicans are going to give him the nod. Okay. I think it's a very easy challenge to overcome. I'm not worried about it at all. Do you think immigrants trust their immigration attorneys in Connecticut? I wouldn't. Guess what they do in Norwalk? Immigration attorneys in Norwalk collect fees from the undocumented monthly, then advise them not to go to court, not to go to their court dates, and in the long run, they screw them all over for money. That's how Connecticut is screwing the undocumented. So I don't think we need an immigration attorney to help Connecticut. I don't see how it's possible that anyone would vote for a guy. Most of these attorneys charge $500 and $600 an hour. John Carberry charges $650 an hour. John Carberry is NASDAQ's attorney, who has connections to Judge Adams and Judge Heller. Judge Heller and John Carberry, NASDAQ attorney for Bernie Madoff, play golf together. They're in the Stanwich Club together. They're on the boards of corporations together. John Carberry is Judge Heller's special master. Meet in the hallway with Mr. Flynn. We'll stay his NASDAQ lawsuits and his Connecticut actions. How many? 350, folks. 350 lawsuits. Hi, I'm not an attorney. I don't want to be an attorney. I don't trust attorneys that charge $600 an hour when you're earning $10 an hour. Are you trying to tell me that the GOP is going to back Lumaj? Really? Because why isn't an Albanian signing up Republicans in Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury, and Bridgeport to the Republican Party? Bosnians, all types of Bosnians in New Haven. People who left Russia-occupied countries. Talk to me, folks. If Lumaj signs up every Russian in Connecticut, I'll vote for him. If he signs them up to the Republican Party. Hey, I'll call you right back. I'll call you right back. That's a very important person. She's helping me. I need more people like her. She's a dynamo, folks. The fact remains, she's a Trump supporter. So am I, to an extent. And everyone's accusing me of all kinds of things. I don't really care. I couldn't care less. The fact remains, one person in Connecticut had 21% of the vote for the 2020 presidential election. And you're looking at him. The fact remains, I ran for president to assist me in my run for U.S. Senate. I won the national debate tournament for debateattorney.com in the presidential election. Did you know that? I'm prepared to take on all comers. I have challenged DeLauro, Courtney, Larson, Himes, and Hayes to debate H.R. 1. H.R. 4 passed yesterday in the House. Excuse me? It has ballot harvesting. It has same-day registration, no voter ID, 6-to-1 money matching. They will need a majority in the Senate to pass the Voter Fraud Act. And believe me, if that occurs, senators and congressmen will be raking in more money than you can count, so they can spend it on taking over America to socialism. Okay? Lumaj understands socialism. He loves his country, and so do I. However, I don't think we need another attorney that charges a hell of a lot of money in Connecticut, when in fact I've got 30 outstanding judicial complaints. I've got 32 outstanding State Bar Association complaints. I've got a 110-page complaint with the State Banking Commission since 2001, unanswered. 105 pages. I've been to the FBI hundreds of times, folks. The FBI in Connecticut is corrupt as the day is long. It's still working for James Comey. It does not work for the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut does not follow federal law. So, ask me questions. I will answer them. We can take it to the debate forum. Robert Hyde has agreed to debate, so to speak. Others have agreed to debate different topics, and you need to challenge people to debate. We just invited 63 people to debate. We invited people to host the debates. We have 23 networks signed up to host the debates. The interesting thing about debateattorney.com, which I'm talking to you about right now, is that it is a phone voter app. You can watch myself and, for example, a Robert Hyde debate. We may have a lot in common. There's certain things we'll never agree upon, and it's the difference that you vote by text saying, hey, I have a question for Robert Hyde. I have a question for T.J. Elgin. I have a question for Brian Merlin. I have a question about Medicare for All. I'd like Brian Merlin to answer. He's agreed to debate. He has connections to the Green Party. He ran as an independent in his last race against Himes. He's saying Himes falsified his delegates. And he's also saying Attorney General Tong falsified his delegates. Here we go, folks. We've got Democrats accusing Democrats of falsifying their delegate votes in the elections that occurred in the past. Who's going to take them all on? A doer, a litigator, a guy who's concerned about fraud, because I sued Denise Merrill a year and a half ago in August of 2020 about the upcoming 2020 presidential election. What happened? 13 people from Connecticut ran. What happened? Not a single vote for a single candidate was calculated. Not a single one. How many pictures of ballots do we have for presidential candidates that were not counted by Denise Merrill? Well, how many convicts from the maximum security prison in Connecticut, 50 convicted felons who cannot vote for a presidential candidate, voted in the presidential election in Connecticut? How many people in Hamden falsified votes? How many in Bridgeport? Let's face it, Bridgeport has an annual voter fraud problem every year, every single year. So, when you look at what's happening in Connecticut, don't you think DeLauro got beat by Margaret Stryker? I'll bet you $1,000 she did. I'll bet you $1,000 she did. Show me the voter roll. I'll show you the winner. So, when you get down to business, no one should vote for Jim Himes. No one. Not after talking to me. He has OxyContin on his soul. Taking a bribe, allowing for an opioid, and he's being accused of denying Narcan. Being accused of denying Narcan to his own constituents to get Brian Merlin to drop out of the Himes race in 2020. Excuse me? Why was T.J. Elgin falsely arrested by an anonymous call in the 2020 congressional race against Jim Himes? T.J.'s a stand-up guy, honest guy, straightforward, perfect gentleman, respectful, fantastic individual. I'm friends with him. The fact remains, T.J. Elgin did not know that his own attorney, Dennis Bradley, was a staffer for Jim Himes. Who placed the anonymous phone call that got T.J. Elgin arrested? What's the story with Thomas Gilmers? He's still maintaining his innocence. How come T.J. Elgin was not allowed to plead not guilty with a judge when Dennis Bradley did not show up in court for T.J. Elgin? You following me? Why did the judge say, hey, where's Dennis? He's obviously on a first-name basis with Dennis Bradley. Therefore, he should not be hearing a case where an attorney in Connecticut was attorney for both congressional candidates at the same time without revealing it to T.J. Elgin. I had to tell T.J. Elgin that his attorney was also Himes' attorney. Why would Himes allow his own attorney to represent his opponent in a congressional race and know that the judge would not accept a not guilty plea? Folks, in Connecticut, There are judges that are corrupt as the day is long. I've been to 5 trials where judges did not allow 911 calls played when informants were hired to kill people. Those people called 911 and said, "Send all available cops. I got a guy trying to kill me." And those judges are Jacobs, Heller. Provider is the worst. Provider is the worst, folks. Provider is the judge on a trial that you should look into. Heller is the judge on a trial you should look into. Jacobs had a 7.5-day trial against Malloy. John Flynn sued Malloy for money laundering. 7.5-day trial. The judge was appointed by the defendant. No jury was allowed. No interrogatories were allowed. No witnesses were allowed. No cross-examination of detectives beyond Detective Maloney. What is involved in that lawsuit? There are emails that the judge would not put onto the record. Emails of Harry Rilling discussing Mayor of Norwalk telling the Detective Bureau not to investigate financial crimes. How many? 300,000. That's a lot of crime, folks. That's a huge implication that the defendant appointed the judge that covered up murder for hire, repeated home invasion, wire fraud, check fraud, accounting fraud. So I say to myself, do we need another attorney in the race? Attorneys don't report other attorneys. Accountants don't rat out other accountants. It just doesn't happen, and it certainly doesn't happen in a blue state where you're expected to break the law if you want to get your endorsement. If you're a judge and you don't tote the line, you will not be reappointed. So we have a problem with judges that are worried about reappointments. Look at Crumrich's decision in the Stephen Barrier trial. FSTCV 20-502-3122-S. Get ready. Filed an appeal. It's not in the screen. They won't approve a pro se litigator electronically to input records, and they won't approve fee waivers. How many fee waivers? Hundreds. The non-approval of a fee waiver on a case is a constitutional discrimination problem for judges. Oh, yes, it is. If a person has no money and they qualify, especially if they have 1,239 cash stolen checks that has never ended, you've got to wonder why the corruption at the Stanford Superior Court is allowed. Will this help you decide, understand, and get behind a conservative who is fully aware of prosecutorial misconduct? Do you think Peter Lumaj will go after a prosecutor? I doubt it. Will Peter Lumaj, is he fully aware of legislative misconduct, police misconduct? Will he help a chokehold victim in Norwalk who had his neck broken after the Garland case? I doubt it. I truly doubt it, folks. So, what about the Grisanti case in Norwalk? What about the upcoming case being discussed on News Channel 12 this weekend? Follow the case. We're interviewing people about the case. And we were scheduled to interview Gina Grisanti last week. I've met with her multiple times. I talked to her quite often. She's got a 35-year investigation going on. I have a 20-year investigation going on. There's another murder investigation that in Norwalk that's over 20 years, where a girl witnessed her parents being murdered. What's the outcome? I'll tell you what the problem here in Connecticut is. The police deny you all evidence, claiming there's a pending investigation. However, they don't investigate. If there's a financial crime, the Norwalk police will assist Judge Adams till the cows come home by covering up details of wire fraud, accounting fraud. Look at the Kelly, Dry and Warren attorneys. They claim to be other people's attorney when in fact they've never spoken to them. This has happened more than 10 times. Why are attorneys at Judge Adams's law firm that he's a partner in claiming to be Bank America customer attorneys when in fact there's no relationship at all? There's no deposit, no discussions, no retainer. Okay? So ask me questions. I can navigate through these waters. I've learned by making every mistake possible. And at this point, I need your support for U.S. Senate. If Lumaj signs up every Russian in Connecticut to be a Republican to vote in the primary, he may have a chance. But my goal is going after votes in Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury, and Bridgeport. 4 cities is all I need. And 4 cities is where I need your help. Your help. Getting the GOP nomination may not be that important, folks. And it's not something I'm willing to purchase. We can win an election on no money. What we need is volunteers. And if you can't afford it, I completely understand. But what I don't understand is the lawsuit that was filed when Ethan Book ran for U.S. Senate. That I don't understand. And if you read the documents, you would question what is actually happening in this Constitution state. Thanks for listening. I wanted to give you my background about Peter Lumaj. I'm going to put it out there and see what happens. But I honestly like the guy. I just don't think he's got the right background, and his heart might be in the right place. But we need doers, and we need to take Murphy and Blumenthal out of their Senate seats. I don't mind talking about it, and I hope you are brave enough to comment on my page. You need bravery at this point. Look at Afghanistan. How can you support the Iran deal like Blumenthal and Murphy after the Iran terror hostage situation? We're at a point where Afghanistan might become a hostage situation 100 times larger, 1,000 times larger than what we experienced in the Iran hostage situation. I understand Lumaj's frame of mind. People should understand the Congressman Diagardi action. The reporter Nex, that Albania and other places needed protection, obtained protection. We're not in that same situation now. We can't just help everyone without prioritizing. We need to bring American citizens back first. Refugees later. American citizens now. We have 5 days, and any delay is going to cost lives. The Taliban is already saying if you're not out by the 31st, there will be repercussions. I have the articles. I can share them with you. If you follow my page, the next 5 days is critical. Thank you very much. I'm at 30 minutes. No one's going to listen to that, but maybe Peter Lumaj will. Have a great day.